Yeah, Robert, I give you your pen. Oh, thanks. Just a little different from that. 25. One for everyone. My fruits. You got 27. You can buy 2 more shirts. Fair enough. Really quickly. Do you just have any extra things?
There was a couple right up at the podium here.
Yeah, there. Just give one of the couple right here. So we can. Okay, thank you. There it is, Andy.
Commissioner Munn. So what Tracy for the agenda is on the door for and hold them in and then she puts kind of
Yeah. Get it, guys, throw it up here.
Are there any copies there?
Yeah, there's.
I don't have any. Nancy usually brings them. I can check and see if I can pick them.
No. Like when they were listening. They should have texted a message to Emily. Is this on? Yep. Yeah, that's why I keep mine close.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks.
I don't have the lettuce, so. This is what I have, okay? You gonna come sit in here? Do you want me to bring them to you? I'm gonna listen to this meeting.
Just about a minute, but-
Would anyone like to sign in to address the board? We have a sign-in sheet for anybody who'd like to address the board on agenda items.
Eat first.
Good here is for missions. They eat like.
Okay. So you need to announce that we're gonna have a meeting?
Yes. you probably- because I was just told that here in about a week or so.
Okay.
Oh, from there. No.
You want taco sauce?
Even China.
I know. Ran for city council, I was giving those away and I had a veteran look at me and said, why don't you get American flags? I said, they are American flags. And he pointed that out. They're made in China. I'm like, oh. Yeah, that would be.
A regular meeting of the Delta County Commissioners is being held this date pursuant to the following call. In the letter to the Commissioners dated January 12th, 2023, and reading as follows. The honorable members of the Delta County Board of Commissioners. Dear Commissioners, a regular meeting of the Delta County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 at 5:15 p.m. in the boardroom of the Delta County Service Center and via Zoom. Please rise for a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for our many blessings. We ask for your guidance to help our board make the best decisions in the best interest of our citizens. And Lord, we pray for the safety of our military men and women. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Commissioner Melner,
Here.
Commissioner View,
Here.
Commissioner Barron,
Here.
Commissioner Moyle,
Here.
and Commissioner Peterson.
Here. Well, good evening, everybody. I've been told by another commissioner that commissioners will be advised that they're having difficulty hearing us. So make sure that your microphone is close enough where that's not an issue. Special orders of business. Last meeting, there were some procedural errors. I wanted to correct that under special orders of business. Originally intended to visit the election of the vice chair. I assumed we had a policy. We did not, since I've been through 12 reorganizational meetings. I thought wrongly that we needed a second on everything. We did not. I sought to correct that tonight, but under Robert's rules, we cannot run that. So that would have had to been done by the conclusion of the last meeting. So I apologize to Commissioner Melner for his inconvenience on that. I do not believe that would have changed the outcome of anything, but I wanted to note that. That would be item number one. Item number two would be a discussion on ethics. There again was another procedural error. What is the pleasure of this board? The state committee will not hear it, so I need somebody to rescind the motion from last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
You make a motion to rescind the sending on the complaint to the state.
Yes.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion, please? Regarding this motion, which is to rescind passing on complaints to the state. They won't hear them. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passes. All right, any other discussion on the ethics to take place, or we just move on to other stuff? You all right?
I'd just like to say, I think we would want to look at that and do a little research on it maybe and revisit how that can be done. Maybe in not in the immediate future, but just to talk about what that means as far as putting out an ethics complaint and where to actually go with it.
Anybody else, commissioners?
Do we have a board that is on that? I know it's gonna be the prosecutor, the chair, and one other commissioner. Who is that other commissioner?
Personnel.
It's personnel director.
It's personnel director.
We could take that back as
Okay.
far as 2001. I myself would like to see this board get out of the ethics. Not to ignore ethics. Don't go there. That's not what I'm saying, but I would like to see this board not have. Be put in a situation where you have to making judgment on ethics. The ultimate decider on ethics is the public. And this committee, what I don't want to do is give somebody false hope on a complaint, because the committee can do nothing. Nothing. It has no teeth. The public has teeth in the forms of something's illegal, it goes to the prosecutor. Or if something is bothering somebody bad enough, they can initiate a recall. That could fall under ethics, but the board, and then why I want to get the commission out of it is because it has no power. And I don't want to set people up. But that's just my 2 cents. I would rather not have a commissioner on that board.
That was my thoughts also.
Mr. Pugh, I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
I agree to some extent, but I think that I've been doing a little research over the last 2 weeks, and we have a policy and procedure manual. And it talks about employees, but Delta County also, and there are a lot of procedures on ethics and the proper way to handle it. And it's not just commissioners involved when you get to where it involves the commissioners themselves. It's having like, I'm just saying we can look at that, but it's from 2014, so it might have to be reviewed and make sure that we cover what you're trying to talk about and what we might agree with. That's, so we do have something in the books that you can address the people if they want to file a complaint. And it looks pretty thorough right now. I just don't know if it's up to date.
Any other commissioners, please? Then we'll move on. All right, very good. Item number 3, under special orders of business, would be the 2023 board assignments. All right, we would need a motion to adopt, excuse me.
I do have a couple, I just want to make note to the board that there were a couple corrections to the original assignment worksheet that was placed out, and they're in your packet noted on here.
Mhm.
We wanted to make sure that we added dispatch as a department, because they're a new department here for the county. So in case the commission wanted to assign a liaison from the board to them, that would be a brand new position. So we would need somebody assigned for that. And I also wanted to make the clarification for the UpCap board that was first noted on here as Commissioner Melner, and Commissioner Moyle clarified that should be Commissioner Peterson. So that would be the only other amendment to what was presented.
All right, we would need a motion for, we can handle the dispatch thing tonight. I'll make an appointment, or else the board can.
I'd like to make a motion, please, a 2-part motion. I'd like to make a motion that we vote to ratify the committee assignments. And then I'd like to make a separate motion that,
You can't make 2 motions. You can make in addition to the.
okay, in addition, I'd like to make a motion that we, from now on, after this vote, we allow the chairperson to make and ratify the appointments without the vote of the board.
That should be two separate.
Yeah, two separate. All right, that's very good. So make your first motion, Bob, and then we'll go back.
Okay, first motion is to vote to ratify the board assignments as you have put them, as the chairman has put them out.
So the,
We just need who you would like for your dispatch appointments. We can include that and ratify. it.
we have a volunteer. Does anybody want? Okay, Commissioner View, you would like the dispatch liaison position?
I have no
Please
issue.
add Commissioner View to that. Then the motion is to ratify the 2023 board assignments as submitted, as altered, excuse me. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Peterson, seconded by Commissioner Barron. Is any discussion, gentlemen? Could we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Melner,
Yes.
View,
Yes,
Barron,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
and Moyle.
Yes. Okay, your second motion, Bob?
My second motion is to, in the future, allow the chairman of the board to make the committee assignments and ratify them himself without vote of the board.
Okay, so whoever the chair is, be it a he or a she, that the signature of that board chair would be constitute ratification of the appointments.
Correct.
All right, that is his motion.
I'll support
You have a support. Now we have discussion. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Mr. View?
what is the procedure? Do we have something in a policy now?
The procedure currently is that the chairman would appoint, the board has to ratify. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not going to, I'm not dumb enough to try to speak for you. But we got stung by our own procedure this time. I was elected chair on the 3rd. Everything was taken care of on the 10th. On the 17th, we're meeting today, but the Commissioner Melnar and Commissioner Peterson, pending ratification of the board today, couldn't vote at the planning commission meeting before
Correct. You can,
Tuesday, that I had to flee because we had 3 of us there.
correct.
If everything would have been done correctly,
Everything was, sir.
no, you didn't have our board assignments set for us to vote on.
I would question the commissioner to ask me if I was elected on the 3rd, how I should have them ready on the 3rd. When humanly possible, I am not psychic. I did my best job. I had some things ready, but then to just assume that I was going to be elected chairman would be narcissistic. And I am not a narcissist. I'm human. I'll make mistakes, but I take umbrage with that. I did it, never having done it before, in a week. If we can come up with a policy that would assuage Mr. Melner's concern that I did something fine, I'm all for it. I would love to see it, but this would take one thing away to where, how is a guy supposed to get elected one night and have everything ready to rock and roll? I mean, if you have a better way, please let me know, any of you.
Other commissioners have, other chairs have done it. The last 2 years I've been on. No,
We didn't have, because I do the directory and I have to wait for that. So it's always taken a couple
A while.
of weeks afterwards. Yeah.
I don't want this, I mean, if
yeah,
pending personalities take me out of the equation and put somebody else in, this was an issue of timing, but again, I'm accountable. If somebody's got a way I could have done that better, I'm all ears.
And if I may say, we did it with the vote of the board this time. This would be to help out future commissioners so that this doesn't happen again. As you said, at the planning commission, Commissioner Melner and I could not vote. We could not be elected. And I wasn't going to take an election to a position anyway, but it would have been nice to have been able to vote and have a say in what was happening. And next time around, there might be 2 or 3 boards that we hit before that second meeting comes around that we can vote on it.
This is an issue of timing. I mean, the planning commission meeting was set after or prior to this meeting, so no matter what I did, I couldn't have affected the outcome unless I could have signed off on a line prior to that. Then I would subscribe to your concerns, sir.
I mean, we can't just shut down all the committees that are waiting for us and the ones that we are selected. Because we can't vote on a new chair and vice chair and secretary and treasurer at that time. And it could be 2 or 3 committees by the time we get to ratify it.
I
It
agree.
should be ratified that day.
Well, that's what this is doing. So you're giving good reason why we should do this. Thank you.
I concur.
Can I hear the
Please.
motion right
A
now?
motion by Mr. Peterson, as I understand it, would be to allow the signature of the board chair for the commissioners, the Board of Commissioners, to ratify the placement.
That is my, yes.
My only concern is that going to be done on the organizational meeting on that night.
That would depend on the elected commissioner, or the chairman. So in the future, we're trying to take people out of this and just create a situation where future chairmans might not be subject to being held accountable for something they have no control over, which is the meeting dates. So it's hypothetically, if you were elected chairman on the 3rd and on the 4th or the 5th, you signed off on it saying these guys go here, these girls go, whatever. And then that would ratify the need, would satisfy everything.
So we wouldn't have to vote on it at the next meeting. It would just automatically fall into place the day you,
The board chair, not me, but whoever
well,
the chair is.
the day the position is,
Yes.
makes the list.
He makes the list and it's gone over and he signs off. Or
So
she
we're
signs off.
okaying it before we know who's on the committees.
I
Or
think
it doesn't matter.
Since you trust someone to be the board chair, and since the board chair has always made these appointments in the past, they would just take the need for the board ratification out of it, simply so we do not get stung by dates based on our procedures. That's exactly what happened this time.
It exposed the weakness, and I think this is the way to strengthen that, and take care of it in the future.
And it's legal to do.
Yeah. I'm not taking credit of it if it's not. This is it's just a board appointment by the commission or by the chair of the commission, which has always been the case. We just are taking the board's need to ratify it out of it based on the what happened this time, but it's your call, gentlemen. Any other discussion before we okay, all those in favor of we have a second, we have a motion, and I'll explain the motion one more time. It would be to reduce the requirement of the board ratifying this. The chairman's signature would ratify who is appointed to boards and commissions. And Bob's not correcting me, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
Very good. It's noted 4-1. This measure passes. And then adoptions of our rules and procedures.
You'll see in your packet, I did want to make note of a couple language changes that are no longer applicable. The first one being that in 1.1, the sentence special meetings will be held if necessary by call of the board on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. Special meetings usually are called and held within a certain time frame of when the special business needs to be taken place. So I don't feel it appropriate to lock in the commissioners to a special day of the month for that meeting. So that should be omitted. There's also in 1.81, Dan Monacher is no longer with the county. I'd like to omit his name as the ADA coordinator for the county, and just leave it as being the ADA coordinator without an actual employee name in there, so we don't have to continue to ratify that, as well as taking out the address, and just leaving the telephone number and the website information for the public to contact the ADA coordinator. Also, in 3.6 telephone votes, right now, as it states, votes placed by commissioners by phone during a meeting with a quorum present will be valid. That's actually against statute for the open meeting, so we should remove that because phone votes will not count. You must be present for a vote to count. And I believe I had one more. In 4.5113, under Public Safety and Judicial Services Department, we should add our dispatch department to that list as well.
Does anybody else want to expand on this list? On the agenda where it says that I would like to add more to that, where it says the speaker must identify themselves. That flies in the face of the Open Meetings Act, and we need to strike that.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, right.
We mentioned that last time. No, it
So
doesn't.
we're okay then?
We're okay. We're fine.
Very good then. Based on what Administrator DeSalvo has said, Is there any additions to this? Okay, I need a motion to accept.
And the motion that we just did is 4.127. Upon his or her election and subject to the approval of the majority of all members of the board, the chairperson shall proceed to appoint all standing and special. So you have to strike that majority, subject to the approval of the majority. Because of Commissioner Peterson's motion that you just adopted, so that will have to be corrected also.
Okay. So then the motion that we need to strike, please repeat the language.
And subject to the approval of a majority of all members of the board
That needs to be stricken.
from that, because that's saying they have to approve your appointments.
Are you clearing it in? Or is that okay for you?
Yep, Commissioner Peterson, what the board had just voted on was to his motion to take that out of your rules and procedures and change it to just the board chair's approval instead of a majority vote of the board for assignments. So that would have to be amended in your rules and procedures to reflect the new policy.
Okay, and how do we do this?
Right now,
Just right
in
now.
your motion of approving your,
All right, Bob, you want to resubmit language on the
No,
motion?
we just have to approve the.
All right,
the
so right
change
now,
for the-
then this will take care of it. Good. All right, I need a motion to accept our rules and procedures.
So
I'll make that
moved.
motion,
Okay, moved by Commissioner Barron, supported by
Mr. Peterson.
Commissioner Peterson. All those in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed? This motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. We last time also did some work on our agenda about having it'd be starting in February, the
Oh, that's to be covered on their schedule?
schedule.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Okay, I just want to
Not
make
a
sure that
problem.
that would be taken.
No, not a problem. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of the county board of 1/3/2003. I would need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Peterson, support by Commissioner Barron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Okay, we have an approved agenda. We have, or no, we need approval of tonight's agenda. Any additions?
You have a committee of the whole.
Okay, we had a committee of the whole. then?
I-
Do we need approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole? Because I don't have a date on that.
You know,
We don't.
And I
There
don't
was
think so.
none.
There
No,
was none.
the committee of the whole was in December and we already approved.
We
those.
already
It's been approved. Okay, no problem.
through that.
It's all right. I'm
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
some approve, or a motion by Commissioner Melner,
support,
support by Commissioner View. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have an approved agenda. Presentation of written communications, communications received, communications forwarded. Do we have any, Emily?
I don't believe we have any for this meeting.
Okay, so that's not needed. Reports of standing statutory special committees and others.
There's none.
There is none. Very good. And we have public comment on agenda items. There's nobody signed up, but you don't need to. Public comment on any agenda items. Welcome.
My name is Kelly Van Genhoven, City of Escanaba. I would just, I have a concern, but it's more of a question. And I know you don't have to answer me during public comment, but I would like to know why this agenda is not the same agenda that was printed or that was posted online. As far as I knew, 48 hours has to be given on any changes to the agenda for public notice. And so I would like that answered if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, please?
I believe we have somebody on Zoom here.
Very good.
Hey, guys.
We
Um,
can't hear, just one moment, let me,
Anybody else, please?
I believe we have somebody on Zoom here.
Very good.
You guys hear me now?
Hold on just for a second. Yeah, I think I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Joe, you got me, but what about
Sorry, it's
everybody
our
else?
First time streaming on YouTube as well, so I think we might have an issue here. Patrick, can you talk? Can we hear you?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Nope, we still can't hear you.
Shoot. All right, I'll come back.
I apologize. We can't hear you from Zoom in the room here. Would you like to call in to make a public comment? I don't want to deny you public comment. Or if you want to type in the chat something and we can read that out loud for you. Oh, he said he'll come back on closing public comment at the end.
Very well. One last call for a brief public comment on agenda items from Zoom or from the public in attendance. Very well, moving on to the administrator's report.
Thank you. Delta County Economic Resiliency Plan. The Delta County Economic Resiliency Task Force has now finished meeting and QPAD's working on putting together the final product. Once it's completed, this report can be used by local municipalities and other nonprofits within Delta County and other businesses to back up information used in applying for grants, as well as to show the public and tourists what the area has to offer and what we're working on to make the community better. So that will be forthcoming to the commission. Title III funding. Emergency Coordinator Paul Geyer is currently working with townships on their Title III funding projects. These projects are specific to the funding rules and they will be brought in front of the county board for final approval once Paul assists them in finalizing them. The opioid settlement. This past Friday, a challenge was brought about for the opioid settlement by the Ottawa County, and it was dismissed this past Friday by the Wayne County Circuit Court, which now allows the settlement for Delta County to go through. We are expecting our earliest date in which we will receive our payment for the settlement as January 31st. The county revenue sharing, the projections for the fiscal year 2025 revenue sharing were released last Friday. It was very positive, showed an overall increase to the general fund of Michigan of 1.3 billion. Of course, they take into considerations that things can fluctuate with the national economy between now and then, but as of now, the next several years show a promising growth for the Michigan economy. And a change to life insurance and EAP provider for Delta County employees. The county has officially changed providers for life insurance policies and EAP services for all county employees. All the new information for Mutual of Omaha, which is our new provider, was emailed out to employees. If an employee has a question, they can reach out to administration for any information. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a motion to put that on file.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Barron,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Peterson. No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Department head updates. Any county department head updates?
I do have one for administration. We did finish our interviewing process for our additional IT specialist position. We did extend an offer of employment to an individual who has accepted, and they will be starting on January 30th. So the end of this month. So I know Brandon is very happy, appreciative of the board for approving that and is looking forward to getting them on board. This person comes to us with years of experience, which is really nice. So they are already ahead of the game for an entry-level position for Brandon to work with and start to get trained on all of the county systems. So we're really happy with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can we have his name or isn't that?
Yes, his name is Tyler Gagne, Gagne. It's pronounced Gagne.
Very good. We don't need a motion for that, do we?
Nope, that was just informational.
Very good. Any other departments with department head updates? Rory, welcome.
Thank you. I'm here tonight representing the Delta County Board of our directors. I would have never thought I would be addressing you this way, but I guess I get chosen to do it. I gave a history of the parks in December, so I'm not going to go way back, but I just want to refresh the board's memory of why we started. Some of you were here, some of you weren't. But my board felt it was very important to address the commissioners so they know exactly why, and also all the residents in Delta County. But basically in 2008 or 9, I can't remember exactly, we were asked to be a liaison to the Delta County parks to help with trees and other different things that were there, and we did that. Then we were approached in 2010, early 2010, of the actual calendar year at the commission was getting ready to close the parks. And they asked, Tom Elliger and Dave Schultz asked us if we would try to run it. So we decided we give it a shot for 1 year and see how it went. So we came in October 1 of 2010 and we started to run the parks. And then it worked out good the first year. So I believe we had a 4-year, maybe 5-year run where it was a handshake with the Conservation District and the county. And our job was to basically see if we could upgrade the infrastructure in the parks, improve the parks, get more people coming in, especially to Pioneer Trail Park, because it used to be a destination. It wasn't at that time. And then kind of move on from there. And then Commissioner Rivard in 2000 and probably 2014 wanted to make it more formal. So we signed an agreement with the county from 2015, which would be fiscal year, to 2022, which ended in September 30th. Through that reign, things have changed. Things basically happened that we end up feeling that now we can no longer run Delta County Parks for the county. Basically, as time went on, we what I call the mommy daddy syndrome is through Noraview, through Ryan Bergman. Basically, I heard Ryan Bergman stand up numerous times here when either the public and or a commissioner would start to second guess and start to critique what was happening there. And he'd stand right up and he'd say, I want to make a point of order. The commission hired the Conservation District. You have to go there. The problem with this thing gets worse and worse as we go along. The problem with what happens is then when the Conservation District makes a decision, they come here. And that's why I call it the mommy daddy syndrome. And you go to dad or you go to mom and you try to get things reversed. It's very, very hard for a Conservation District or anybody else who's running outside of a county to run the park system like that. As we went on, basically this agreement started to end. So we started, I believe, last February or last March, starting to get a new agreement. We were very insistent on 2 things happening. It happened. But I want the public to know why we did that. We used to get $50,000 when the pavilion was put in. We gave approximately 18 back. And we finished doing that. And that's why it went to 22. But things were going pretty well. We decided that we'd up it again and try to do it. But we learned a lot through COVID. We learned that now you're going to pay people more. You may not be able to get anybody. In 2020, we could not get any summer help in that park whatsoever. I started pulling figures and basically between the board, staff, and volunteers that came to the park that we got, including contractors that did things for free. We were probably estimating 2 to 2.5 full-time equivalents for free for this county to run those parks. Because when they open in May, they're 24 hours and they close October 15th. So through that, I guess trying to get that contract put in, 2 things we really wanted. We wanted to upgrade the 50,000 to 25,000. The reason for that was because that's what we needed. When Governor Whitmer shut down all the parks and everything else, we had to come to the county board because the allocation comes out in October and we wanted to open the parks in May. What ended up happening is we did not have enough money because we were paying somebody to go there. If you don't have permanent people there, you can't run a Delta County Parks and hire people every single year. You have to be with them, you have to whatever. So you have to have permanent people. We wanted the 75 to hire 1 individual with the salary and taxes that would be there no matter what happened. Whether this county shut the parks down for whatever reason, health things, the governor did, Santa Claus did, it didn't matter, that we would have that individual to go into the parks 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week, make sure trees fall down, keep the grass cut so the snakes and the bugs don't take over, and check and see if anybody broke in. We came to the county board and they did authorize 25,000 if we needed it. Luckily, we opened before the state parks did, and we didn't need it that year. But that was the reasoning behind that. The other thing that we wanted to do is we wanted a 10-year contract. And we heard over and over, you never do a 10-year contract. You don't do a 10-year contract. You do a 10-year contract if you're running a business. You run that business because if you get a 10-year contract, you don't have to increase it later. So that's a benefit for whoever is shelling out the money. So you don't have to do it every 2-3 years. But the biggest reason for the conservation district, who do you put in place? Who do you put in place to say, well, 3 years, you might have a job, you might not. To run those parks, we would plan to hire another individual on maintenance who could come in and learn for the maintenance guy who was there. So when he retires in a couple of years, that person could take over and then we'd hire another one. So that costs extra money. And we had that person lined up, a contractor, a builder who was going to come in. He's the one who put the roofs on at the park. So he was locked in until we got into that contract, and it took so long, and he kept hearing that there were commissioners and that who did not, an administration who did not favor a 10-year contract. So he wasn't going to give up a business and come in. Then the other thing was we were going to move one of our 16-year employees over there to be manager of those parks. And she would have did a fantastic job. She had a permanent job. And the grant that she's under is restricted funding, so it won't be cut. So the bottom line there is what happened is after going through that whole rigmarole and then getting it done, but having 2 commissioners vote against it, the writing was pretty much on the wall for my board and us, but we still hung in there. Then we got into things this fall that were guaranteed to us. One was the $42,500 from the American Relief Fund. And that was supposed to be paid immediately. The other stuff, we were going to apply for grants and everything else, but that was supposed to be paid for. And it was motioned by the board. It was talked about the finance. As soon as those cabins were finished, we finished those cabins right after Labor Day. We asked for the money. I tried to get it in September, and I wasn't upset about that, but we still don't have it. It's the middle of January. And the reason behind it is we rolled over more money this year than we ever had. We had a good year, but the reason for rolling it over is we wanted to put electric and water into the rustic area into those cabins, because that's what's actually needed. And I know I've talked to the board numerous times about it. So that wasn't given. And then all of a sudden we heard of the 37-year problem that, the county signed a long time ago. Well, we missed a golden opportunity because we're still setting up a committee. I don't know how many times I came in front of the old board and talked about, we got to get this thing moving. Is the county going to do it? Do you want the district to do it? And it just kept going and going. And finally it was decided for the second time in December, first meeting in December, that this committee would happen. It was an ad hoc committee. It would be very fast. I started calling individuals who were on it just to hear if they even had heard anything, because we hadn't. And what we missed was the Sparks grant, the first one that was going out, because that was a good grant. We probably would have got a pavilion, a playground. We could have did it. And the ideal time to do it was December. We should have did this thing in December. We had fantastic weather. The ground was frozen up. It was even froze more than it is now because of the rain. And we missed that. So we put in for Pioneer Trail Park with electric, but normally they don't approve electric because it's not showy enough, right? You put it under the ground. What do you show people? So you got $110,000 under the ground. But they're very expensive. So there's just been more and more. And then probably the topper, the conservation district, myself and all the staff, is when we had 2 sitting commissioners run on the thing that if they got elected and the board was right, they were going to turn around and change that contract. So it's kind of like a Patrick Jordan thing is what I think it was. So basically it's nice having you. See you later. So basically, we're here tonight. We have a letter addressed to the chair from my chair that basically says we're going to terminate the agreement. We'll give the 120 days in May. And the reason we're doing that, we still care a lot about these parks. And I don't want to dump this stuff on you, and either does my board. So for the next 4 months, we'll be around to help. There's things that need to be done. The seasonal thing we usually do in February, that needs to be done if we're going to have them. Unfortunately, in Fuller, we're not sure if we can put 2 seasonals in the far side because the committee hasn't met yet. And even if it does, the Department of Natural Resource has to approve it. Right now, they got easily over 600 Sparks grant applications. So I don't even know if they're going to be able to do trust fund this year. They're going to different departments to try to just read grants because it fell on them, somebody signed it to them. So there should be an online system, but I'd like to discuss that with you too. We've had somebody picked out. We were going to do it 2 years ago. And the public talks to us too, different than sometimes you hear the complaints. And how do you address with an online system, the individuals who are right here? So we have that figured out too, but we're not going to implement anything unless the county wants us to. So we'll be around for 4 months trying to help you get however you're going to do this, who's ever going to come on, show them everything we can, and then turn over the finances that we have. And it's a lot. So it'll be a lot better than when we came in. Let me tell you that. Plus you got a turnkey operation, but there still needs to be things done. But as of now, I'm going to present this to Chairman Moyle. And that's what it basically says on May 15th. Conservation District would like the contract terminated for the Delta County Parks system. So I don't know if
Gentlemen,
there's any questions or not, or
Here's my next question. You have any questions from Mr. Mattson? Anybody?
Nothing to make you change your mind, anything that
no,
we can
it's-
lock in
it's been,
legally or
it's been
anything.
coming for a long time. And we waited
I
till
mean,
this
I'm
board.
kind of new, so I'm not privy to.
That's why we waited till now and didn't do it after the election in December, because that 2 of the members were going out. Because election was already over, 2 brand new members, of course, Commissioner Peterson was on our board, so he knew. And basically, you know, for you and commissioners coming in, and we didn't do it the first meeting because we knew the first meeting would probably be chaos, and it was. And I'm so sorry for all you guys, you know, I mean, it's hard. Brand new chair and brand new commissioners, and you come in and make a few mistakes. And but the lucky thing too, in the Open Meetings Act, you can correct those if you do it quickly, which you guys did tonight. So that's right in the law too.
Right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
Any other comments, gentlemen? We'll move on. Any other department heads, please, with reports? Very good.
If I may,
Yes,
this is not going to be something that's easily filled. The district has done a lot of work for the parks and taken a lot of initiative on that. And it's not going to be an easy thing to fill their void. And I think that we really need to get moving on this immediately. As far as getting a plan up, how we're going to take care of this. And I'd like to make a motion. And I'm not sure if this is the exact right way to do it, but I think we need to make a motion that we at our next board meeting, we have a workshop and get started on this right away to see what is the best route to take for this.
all right, I have no problem with that. I was going to suggest a workshop at the next meeting. I didn't have the subject matter in mind. But
Mr. Chair, that might fit well under the unfinished business.
Yes.
Setting the 2023
Yep.
meeting agenda. Would that work?
I was going there, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, please keep me focused. Yeah, Mr. Peterson, we will address that in our unfinished business.
Okay.
But any other comments? I have one for the district. You know how I feel about the job you've done. Delta County tried to run those parks and they were a disaster, and I don't care if somebody was understaffed or whatever. I mean, you've said it before, I'll say it again, one last time. You took a sow's ear, you turned it into a silk purse, and our parks are now a destination. And that was because the efforts of some really fine people. I'm sorry. I'm proud of the job you've done, but I'm very sorry. I wish this didn't have to happen. Okay, so we have no more committee reports. Now we're moving to unfinished business. And which would be general orders of business, unfinished business. Items number 1, 2, 3, and 4 were switched over. They were done so because they were moved to special orders of business so we could take some corrective action for some procedural errors that would have been reflected in the tentative agenda. The agenda does not become complete or ratified until the board approves it. So anything put online is a tentative agenda. I hope that helped clarify anybody's question. Item number 5, set the 2023 meeting dates. And I would entertain your comments and your discussions. I've got some ideas here, but I want to nix the committee of the whole thing every month. I think that's just trying to swallow too much. My suggestion would be that we have a commissioners workshop, an informational only workshop. The first meeting of the month, we could start the meeting at 5 o'clock, okay, not 5:15. We would go from 5 until 6 on that informational workshop. It would be an agenda item of that meeting. And what we would be doing is bringing in different items. Now, to talk about what Mr. Peterson said, clearly, if the concept is okay with you on the board, on the informational workshop, obviously the parks are going to be job one immediately. But I mean, in future months and future years, if commissioners keep that, it'll give us the opportunity to bring in different people. And for that hour, it is an informational workshop where commissioners can get information that's pertinent to what their concerns are. Mr. Peterson, go ahead.
I'm good with that we move that to as you just stated. And like I said, I would like to address this parks thing. I think that should be our main focus as to the next meeting in the workshop.
Agreed. We have to set up the workshop. Mr. Few, look like your wheels are rolling.
They are, but they're slow. Turtle speed. But the biggest thing I wanted to know, what's the difference in the procedure and public participation from a workshop to a committee of the whole?
A committee of the whole would be a whole nother meeting. We don't.
Well, no, I'm not worried about either one. I just wanted to know, is the public going to be able to participate, which I think is important, in a workshop or not? Because I know they can have a little more informal discussion with public in a committee of the whole. Is a workshop similar?
I think if an informational workshop was, Mr. Milner, you look like you wanted to chime in, please.
I think they're just mainly the same thing. I mean, the road commission, they call it a workshop, but people could still come in and talk about things.
Can I ask our administrator what she knows, if anything, about the difference between both? Because I really like to have good information.
I don't know anything about a workshop, so I don't know the rules behind it. I'd have to research that to know what that even looks like. I'm not sure if we have to follow an agenda for it or anything. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm proposing is that we have, it would be an agenda item. And whether it's under special orders of business, I mean, but it would be, if it pleases the commission to invite the public and, to participate on a particular subject, that's there.
Legalities is all I'm looking at right now.
Well, this would be it would be a meeting that's posted, scheduled.
The participation is the issue that I'm looking at. I mean, we're voting on something that not even our administrator is exact on what it entails. And I just want to make sure I know what it entails.
I'm not voting. I haven't made a motion. I'm bringing it to consideration. Yeah, we're talking about our schedule, but I mean, I just threw out an idea.
Okay, all right. I thought there was a motion.
No, but it's a good point. What I would like to do is have this on a recurring basis, go from every month from 5 to 6, and it would be an informational workshop. You could still comment about what was going on under general public comment on agenda items, because it would be an agenda item. Beyond that, if the commissioners wanted to seek input from people, during that hour, if it is the pleasure of the commission, if somebody was an expert on something, we could ask them questions. It's an informational workshop, so we would not be making votes during that particular point. We'd be just getting information. So, and
I like that. And the only other thing that I would like to add as a comment is setting a time limit. I would put a time restraint. Well, you said 5 to 6, but if I'm trying to figure out, so our meeting would not start till 6, even if we finish at 5:30.
Starts at 5. Okay. But we would have that workshop go from 5 to 6.
But what happens if it doesn't need to? What happens if?
Well, we would have to build the language in that, it could go from 5 to 6. We would cut it off at 6. If it doesn't go if it goes from 5 to 5:45.
But the public needs to know, because they might not want to come to the workshop. See what I'm trying to figure out here is making sure
The
that
language, the
it
language.
has to be said just right. I mean, I don't. I'm for stuff like that,
Sure,
but I
You don't
need,
want to open up Pandora's box by trying to.
like we did last time.
Halfway to
Rocky
hell,
start, we
yeah.
built a good foundation with the stone started.
Okay,
Let's build upon that.
gentlemen, any comments on Commissioner?
Well,
Blue's?
a commissioner view, it's would be under commissioners workshop. Informational only, and we can put up to 1 hour. That way, it would be only 1 hour's worth of time on the agenda. And
Okay,
that would
but
be
if
notified to the
if
public.
I'm public and I want to come to just the meeting part and you start it, would we start the meeting at 6, no matter how long?
No, this is the meeting.
Okay, all right.
Meetings,
That's
meeting starts,
confusing.
you go through your call to order, prayer, pledge of allegiance, roll call, and then special orders of business, and then a commissioner's workshop.
And we just flow in no matter what time we finish that workshop.
Well, we would
Well,
cap it at
but-
6 is my
but
suggestion.
we're
Yeah.
we're setting it for 6 o'clock.
But it's all part of the meeting. then.
It's all part of the meeting, then you move on to the other parts of the approval minutes and what have you right on down the line.
And that'll be proper to do that.
I got the
Yes.
idea from Commissioner Melner because of his time on the,
Road commission
Road
does
commission.
very similar,
I mean, that was, you had mentioned that.
so.
So we're not voting on this tonight.
We could, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. I mean, we need to get our schedule ratified. I wanted to throw this out there.
I think you're gonna see a little bit of confusion if it isn't a broken 10 minutes or something. You know,
What does the road commission do? Because you brought.
they
in-
kind of break it up a little bit, 5-10 minutes, and then they
Go to the bathroom, stuff like that.
But that can be done in a regular meeting if it gets too long. So
Yes.
that's not something unusual. But I'd really like to see this done tonight so that it'd be the first Tuesday of February. So we can get on to this first topic. I think this, what we just learned tonight about the parks, we need to get on this, as Commissioner Peterson said. pronto.
Anything else, gentlemen? Do you have, any concerns?
We already addressed my concerns.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if you addressed them, but I let them on the table, what I.
Mr. Peterson, anything?
No, I'm good. Like I said, I'm just real concerned about getting something in place to take care of these parks. And I think that, that's gonna be, actually, I think that's gonna be top of the importance
Okay, here's what I'll
for
do.
several months.
I agree with you. I'll make a motion that the first meeting of every month only, we start the meeting at 5 o'clock. From up to an hour, from 5 up to 6 o'clock, we would have an informational only commissioners workshop. It's an agenda item. And then if we don't take that time, the 1 hour, we take 45 minutes, 35 minutes. That's up to us. It's still a matter of comment. They could talk, the public can talk during free public comment on agenda items. They also have their opportunity during a general public comment. But during the up to 60 minutes from 5 until 6 o'clock, we would discuss issues that would be pressing for the commission. And in this, obviously, we have one. And that's my motion. Can I get a second on it?
Second.
Additional discussion. Are you guys, if you nay it, don't want to do it, I don't want to push it, but I'm just coming up with ideas that I think is really good to help us, and we can ask administration to look into it further. But I don't want to hold up action on a fear that we might have a procedural boondoggle, especially on these parks.
I mean, we can always change if it's not working out.
I agree, sir, wholeheartedly.
We can give it 3 months, 6 months, and if it doesn't seem like we're getting anything accomplished, we could go back to where we are right now.
Can I just ask for clarification? It was said 5 PM. Are we changing the start time for all commissioner meetings to 5
No,
PM?
just the first one on
So
Tuesday.
just the first one is going to start at 5 PM now?
The first Tuesday of every month, if this
Okay.
motion is passed, yes,
And then the second meeting of the month is
5:15.
5:15 as normal?
correct.
Okay.
Anybody else, gentlemen? Any other discussion? No other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, sorry, very good.
Oh, can I get a clarification? So your removing the.
Committee of the whole, yes, we're
Okay,
nixing
so
that.
That's part of the motion to remove the committee of the whole.
I will amend the motion to remove the committee of the whole and reflect the other information. Thank you, Nancy.
Mhm.
So the motion has been made to remove the existing committee of the whole, the first Tuesday of every month. We would begin the county board meeting at 5 o'clock. Under special orders of business, we would have a commissioners informational only workshop. That would go no longer than 6 o'clock. It doesn't necessarily have to go to 6 o'clock, but we would give us 1 hour of whatever subject, okay? And then we would begin the second agenda item after that at 6 o'clock. Or whenever we finish that informational workshop prior to 6 o'clock. Gentlemen, do you understand that? Because it's okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm just gonna vote present because I'm confused and that goes as a no.
Would you, all right,
I mean, there's just a
No
few
problem.
things I'm
All right.
worried about that I'll work out.
Commissioner, for clarification, for the next agenda, then. Is that just to be an agenda item, or is it to have actual subject matter underneath it that you will discuss, or is it just open for any subject matter?
I appreciate you chiming in. Thank you very much. I would seek your guidance regarding that because I don't know the technical limitations of that yet, but I will learn.
Thank you. And then the only other thing is right now we have July 4th as the meeting date. I didn't know if the commission wants to address that as it gets closer or cancel that
I have no
meeting.
desire to be on the
currently.
4th. Does anybody?
No,
So we would, and my,
but are we gonna meet that week or is that what you're asking, Emily?
Cancel it right now so that we can publish it without that meeting.
the first meeting in July, do you want that canceled or rescheduled?
That's on the 4th.
July 4th.
It's
July
on
4th.
Yeah, I
the
think
actual
that-
holiday.
I would move that we strike that.
Strike that meeting. Do you want the meeting rescheduled or do you want it just stricken?
I would like to reschedule it because the
reschedule it.
business needs to be taken care
I
of.
think mainly, I think we gotta find out and see what is coming up. On our agendas at that time.
So can we have administration look for, or we'll set up a
I
suitable
mean, you
time?
know, see what's coming up, if something that has to happen on that first meeting. We can reschedule it to
This next week.
the 6th or whatever.
So would you like it stricken and then as it gets closer for me to recommend whether we have a meeting or if we need one or not, depending on if there's agenda items?
If that pleases the commission, I think that's sound.
That would work for me.
Thank you. All right, so that item passes.
Wait,
Go ahead,
so it was seconded by which commissioner? Aaron,
Commissioner Barron, second.
and then you actually took a vote on it? Okay.
Yes, we voted it passed 4-1. Commissioner View voting present. Okay, item number 5, which is, we just did that, set the 2023 meeting dates, item number 6, which is the multi-use storage building. Thank you, Emily.
So we do have Corey Shorter here. I think if you have any questions regarding the RFPs, they were brought forth to the commission previously in a meeting. There were some questions regarding the responses of the RFPs. In speaking with our building and maintenance director, he's confident in going with the lowest bid that was received through that, which would go to Cleary.
Gentlemen,
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid.
based on Corey's, okay.
I'll support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Melner. We are supported by Commissioner View that we accept the lowest bid. All those in
Oh,
favor?
excuse me.
Yes. Oh, we have discussion. I'm sorry, sir.
Yes, we had an issue out at, I think it was Pioneer Trail Park with a building that Cleary put up that's had a leakage issue. So is there, in doing this, is there going to be a clerk of the works, someone to watch this more closely when it's put up?
Yes, our building and maintenance director, Corey Shorter, is going to be there to help facilitate the project. And in speaking with him about those issues and him hearing the board's concerns regarding it, there was a changeover of employment with Cleary from when the roof on the pavilion got installed and now presently. So we're quite confident in the work that Cleary would be able to do for us, but there is going to be oversight from the county on the job that's being done.
Thank you.
And if I'm not mistaken, they just put two buildings up back here by the jail, didn't they?
I believe so. I don't,
We have our search and rescue building, and then there's a storage back. About 30 buildings. I'll be there pretty much every day.
All right, gentlemen, any other discussion, Mr. View?
Were there other bids on this? And if there was, what is the dollar difference between Cleary and the other one?
we had
Is it-
one other company that bid with us and it was substantially higher
Okay.
than what we received from Cleary.
Yeah, I'm just double
Very good.
checking to make sure they're doing.
Doing your fiduciary duty, sir.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? This passes. Item 7, Veterans Office Space Lease, Disabled American Veterans.
So this contract was brought before you, I believe in the last board meeting. However, there's actually going to be two different entities that are looking to lease this space out. It's the Disabled American Veterans and also the American Legion. And so what the Veterans Coordinator and I did was take that lease and split them into two separate leases, since they're with two different companies, two different entities, programs. And the language in the contract, the lease is exactly the same as what was brought back to the board before, except for now they're just two different contracts to each entity. So I brought them back to the board for approval.
We would need a motion to approve of this contract.
So moved.
I have movement by Commissioner Barron, support by Commissioner View. Additional discussion? Gentlemen? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This carries. On item number 8 is this same contract with a different organization.
I'll make a motion that we go in contract with the American Legion for the office space.
Moved by Commissioner Barron, supported by Commissioner Melner. Any additional discussion, gentlemen? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This passes. New business, the payment of our bills.
I've examined all claims presented and recommend payment of the following, and that the county clerk be directed to issue orders on the county treasurer to the claimants for the amounts allowed. We have a total report of claims of $323,797.69 and commissioner expenses of $470.
Gentlemen, we need a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Barron, supported by Commissioner Melner to pay our bills. Discussion? A roll call, please.
Milner,
Yes.
View,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
and Moyle.
Yes. Item number 2 is the MDOT financial year 23 Specialized Services Operating Assistance Program.
We received this contract through MDOT. It involves our data program, I believe, and I didn't know you were coming today, so thank
Okay.
you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Okay.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I present today on behalf of Community Action Agency, Human Resource Authority, regarding our transit program. We provide transportation for our seniors and those with disabilities out of our senior centers located in Menominee, Daggett, and Hermansville. We have 4 demand response vehicles, and three of those vehicles are wheelchair accessible. Over the last year, we have provided approximately 48,000 rides, covering approximately 47,000 miles. So we are considered specialized services, and we have Delta County Board has worked with us through, it is my understanding, probably since the mid-70s, authorizing our projects, financials through the our board here of commissioners. Our MDOT, of course, is our funding source, providing about $52,000. They request all projects and financials through the county clerk's office in order to record agreement of utilization of funds and ensure payments that are made to our agency. Nancy requested that I attend tonight just to give that little update, and then we look at our project authorization, which I'm not sure if you had given, did you get a chance to get that signed?
Yes.
Or so
Yes.
is, so it is signed,
done.
okay.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you need board approval on that, or if we're all set to go, or on that project authorization.
did you authorize it or was it waiting for Commissioner Moyle to authorize? For the
She had
authorization?
sent it to me and then she sent a thing that said that it didn't have to be Moyle,
Oh,
but he
okay,
should be a backup
okay.
in case I'm not available, then he could do
So,
it.
so my recommendation would just be that the board place it on file.
All right, then
Right, yeah,
we don't need motion for that, correct?
No, Nancy already was the authorized signature on it, so we don't need the board to approve your signature. So probably just to make sure that we keep it on file here with the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you for your time and your service, man.
yes, and we thank you. I wanted to say thank you for working closely with us and making sure everything goes through. So thank you.
We need a motion to place it on file.
So move motion to place it on file is necessary.
Says I move.
Moved by Commissioner Barron, supported by Commissioner Milner. And discussion. All those in favor?
I,
That'll be placed on file. Hazard mitigation plan and resolution.
So you'll see in front of you, and it's quite lengthy and thick in your packet, the Delta County Hazard Mitigation Plan that has been worked on primarily by QPAD and in conjunction with our Emergency Management Coordinator, Paul Geyer. It did go through the public comment period. It has been discussed at our EOC meetings at length, at our LEPC meetings. So it has gone through a lot of discussion, a lot of meetings. It was put together, it was submitted to the Michigan State Police. They've conditionally accepted it through FEMA. And there is a resolution that the board would have to adopt and pass tonight in order to give this to QPAD for the board's approval of the plan. And there was one amendment in an appendix that we will be adding, that QPAD will be adding. And that was to include a request for funding for emergency signage for county residents. So you'll see that was added to it. But the plan has gone through its proper process. We're now at the point of approval and resolution for the Board of Commissioners, and then it will go and have final approval through FEMA.
Gentlemen, your pleasure.
I'll move that we support the plan.
I'll support it.
We have a movement, motion by Commissioner View, supported by Commissioner Barron to accept this plan. All additional discussion, please.
Okay, you mentioned about, and that's in here about the signage. Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, is there any timeline and when that funding may be available?
Not yet, not
Okay.
currently.
All right.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shot in the dark for us to request it. I think it's nothing that FEMA probably has seen included in this plan. But it does meet the requirements for it. So we're going to take a shot and see if we can receive funding. I know the county has struggled in getting funding for that. So it's just another avenue that we can take to try to get funding for that project.
Commissioner View.
Is this for all the townships and is it a standard signage and placement package that'll be?
This is just for funding, but yes, it would support the county's ordinance and policy for fire signs.
For all 14 townships if we,
Correct, for every township in Delta County.
okay, great.
Additional discussion, gentlemen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This measure passes. Resignation of C. Metzger, request for lump sum.
We have
You-
agenda item 4.
I skipped over a letter.
Item one.
We just did the item.
Letter of support.
For the outdoor recreation industry and the growth strategy.
I received a request from Ryan Susie with QPAD asking if the board would send a letter of support for a new outdoor recreation initiative focusing on develop an industry growth strategy. He has a meeting next month, so he wanted to put this, give this out to any boards that this may include in the funding area, which would include the Board of Commissioners. There was a draft letter of support that he sent in which it would be sent to the U.S. Department of Commerce. So the board can look that over, has had time to look that over. And if you want to send a letter of support, we can get that done through the Board of Commissioners.
Gentlemen,
I would say we do a letter of support.
Would you move on that?
I will make a motion on that.
Motion by Commissioner Melner for a letter of support,
I'll support that.
supported by Commissioner Barron. Additional discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will be sending a letter of support. Thank you. Now I apologize. Resignation of C. Metzger, a request for a lump sum payout and to fill that dispatcher position.
We had a resignation from one of our dispatchers. She's been with us for approximately 5 years now. She's an outstanding employee. She's taken other employment. And so she put in her resignation letter, and we're just asking the board to approve her lump sum payout and request to fill her position, send her a letter of thanks.
I was going to add, send the letter of thanks to that, but
I'll move that we do that.
Commissioner View motions
Support.
and supported by Commissioner Barron. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This passes. Okay. Okay, LOA, corrections shift schedule changes.
When we were going through a hardship in trying to fill positions because of employment, reduced employment in our jail, it was agreed to between the employer, the county, and the union to change shift schedules. So the supervisors had an easier time with overtime and scheduling. This is a ratification of the agreement that was entered into at that time temporarily to alleviate that. In speaking to the union and the employees, they really liked moving their shift from 7 to 7 to 6 to 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then the night shift being 6 p.m. To 6 a.m. And so this is just ratifying those changes permanently. It will be, this letter of agreement will then become a part of their bargaining unit agreement, changing that time frame.
I move that we do that.
We have a motion by Commissioner View.
Support.
Okay, supported by Commissioner Peterson. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That would pass. Okay, MSUE MOA for financial year 23.
We had received our memorandum of understanding from Paul Putnam with MSU Extension. As you know, the board gives an appropriation to MSU Extension each year. This memorandum of understanding just outlines the services that the county receives for that appropriation.
Gentlemen? Do you have questions? What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Melner.
I'll support.
And supported by Commissioner Peterson. Now we can begin some discussion. I sense there's some. Is there any questions on this or discussion?
This is pretty standard, I think. Each year we do that.
Okay, so no other discussion?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion would carry. MOU with Menominee County Building Code Services.
I had been in talks with Menominee County. I believe I talked about this a couple times on my administrator's report for giving a mutual aid agreement with Menominee County for our building inspector. So that if Menominee County's building inspector or Delta County's building inspector is out on leave for a long period of time, that the other inspector would step in and help provide inspection services. This does not include any office work as far as permitting goes, scheduling. It's only the inspection so that construction projects can continue to move forward without hindrance and without us having to turn those services over to the state of Michigan. I am still looking for approval from the Menominee County Administrator on that memorandum. So I'm not going to bring it forward to the board tonight because I don't feel it appropriate for us to approve it here if Menominee County hasn't had a chance to respond to it yet. So I would request tabling it, and then we can bring it back to another meeting to give both sides more time to look at the memorandum and discuss it if there's any questions. The memorandum would not include a dollar amount. It would just be a mutual aid agreement.
I'll make a motion that we table.
We have a motion by Commissioner Melner and support by Commissioner Barron to table this item. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That would pass. It'll be tabled. Appointment of the Sailors and Soldiers Relief Commission opening a probate appointment.
The probate court judge, Mr. Honorable Perry Lund, has appointed Stephen Kacharny for that position.
We would need board approval of that, so
I'll make a motion for that.
Commissioner Barron moves
I'll support it.
and Commissioner Peterson supports additional discussion. All those in favor of Mr. Kacharni taking that position signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That appointment carries. All right, very good. Then we have the what is this? The MMRS no, this is the appointment. Which one?
Number 10.
Number 10, yeah.
MERS.
MERS revised participation agreement for dispatch part-time.
You'll see in your packet the participation agreement. This is to exclude part-time employees from dispatch moving forward. We did have 2 part-time employees come over to the county from the authority. And at that time, we grandfathered them into the MERS agreement that they were already under. This participation agreement will then let the dispatch and it's further anybody else who's hired on or after this as a part-time employee fall under what the county's policy currently is for part-time employees. So this is more of a housekeeping issue from dispatch coming over to the county.
Gentlemen,
I'll make a motion that we support that.
we have a motion by Commissioner Melner,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Barron. Additional discussion. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This carries. Presentation from the MMRMA sponsored attorney.
There was some requests from commissioners regarding a workshop put on by our MMRMA attorney, sponsored attorney. I did reach out to him. He is willing to come here and meet with the commissioners individually or in groups of 2 to answer any questions, legalities, things of that nature. It probably will be about $3,000 that it will cost for the training. He's also willing to have other county employees that you would feel pertinent be a part of that, be a part of those services as well. So that is for the board's discussion and approval if they would like.
Gentlemen, any thoughts on it? 3? That's a good price for a lawyer.
That was to talk to us about procedures and,
Anything, yes, yep.
or anything.
Yep, it can be any questions. I mean, it essentially, he'll have agenda items that he's going to bring ahead of time, procedure questions, things that he would like to talk with the commission about. But commissioners at that time, it's an open discussion between him and commissioners. So they can ask any questions or legalities, anything that they would like to during their time frame with him.
Okay, and then in that $3,000, that would include, because we can't obviously all go at the same time.
Yeah, he would come on one day and schedule like blocks of times for the commissioners.
Okay.
Would this be for planning also? The commissioners on
He
planning?
did open it up,
Yeah.
so we could do some sessions throughout the day. It might shorten the time frame that this board has with him because he would only be here for one day.
Yeah.
But we could include them if the commission would like to.
My thoughts on that is, I think it's a good idea. I just think we need to get our feet wet for another month or so, and I would like to just put it on the back burner. Until,
Take a month to set up, though, sir.
will it take, how long would it take to set up?
It would
Right.
depend on his schedule, so I'm assuming it probably would be at least about a month out before the actual session would take place.
Okay, because I'm gonna have questions over the next couple of meetings that I might need
I'm counting on it.
expert advice with,
Yeah.
that he'll be gone by the time I need
No, I
the
think-
advice.
It's probably going to be mid to late February before we get can get a commitment from him.
And we'd feed off each other. Besides, the questions are gonna come up after somebody.
Yeah, I'm
That's
for it. I'm
question
just,
too.
I just thought if we held off on a little bit, but if you have to schedule it that far out, I mean, a month ain't that far away. It goes pretty quick.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yeah, the thing that I'm looking at is helping with getting the newer commissioners like myself to understand a little bit more about the Roberts rules and the procedures and that to carry through a solid meeting, so we're not making mistakes. And
To err is human, sir, but I agree. It's going to increase everybody's knowledge.
yeah,
Well, not only that, I would like just to also say that a lot of people are talking to me about things that I've never heard brought up here or even foresee in the future that have happened in the past, and they have concerns. So as I talk to them, that's where my legality stuff would
Very,
want to put forward.
Commissioner Barron.
Just addressing Commissioner View's concern here. We can, if we do make a motion and pass this, we can tell them that we don't want to see them until 1st of March or after.
I'm for it. That's fine.
So that gives you that time. You'll get another 2 meetings in plus.
What we do tonight is not going to dictate any time, but we can tell them, give them a time frame of when we are needing them. But I think it's important to approve this and increase everybody's knowledge level. And from a guy who's a municipal attorney, probably very versed in the federal bar, I think it's essential. So I would need a motion to ratify or to pass this, please, and then we'll move from there.
We're passing to move forward with.
We want
having
to
an
we want to
attorney.
hire the guy for a day. Yep.
I'll make a motion.
We have a moment by Commissioner Melner.
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Peterson. Additional conversation, please, or additional questions, discussion. I know it seems like a lot of money, but it's just really not, in my opinion.
No.
It's not for a.
Not for what we're gonna
attorney.
get.
No. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This passes unanimously. And Commissioner, excuse me, Administrator DeSalvo, would you please contact them and let them know we want them? All right, very good. General public comments. General public comments. Anybody, general public comment. Very good.
I'm just representing myself, Rory Mattson. I do want to thank personally Bob Barron, Commissioner Moyle, and obviously Commissioner Peterson. Steve, I'm not including you because you're brand new. But basically, all your support at the meetings that you have given us. I know Commissioner Barron numerous times said the conservation's running it, let them run it. So we really appreciate that. It's going to be very hard for, if you guys go outside, to have anybody who has to answer and won't be able to come back. Commissioner View, I was on the road commission when we started the workshops. Just an FYI, what you're going to do sounds good. We used to hold a workshop, break for a half an hour, and then hold the meeting. The problem we ran into was public comment. If you split those meetings into 2, you have to have a public comment. So if we had, and where we got, well, nothing happened, but we're supposed to start the road commission meeting at 5:15. One night we didn't start it till 7. There was so much public comment on a road, and especially Cornell, that basically we couldn't stop it because you have to let anybody come. So by putting it into one meeting, then you can have your 2 public comments and you can stop your workshop. The other thing that's fantastic for, if you're going to do it that way, is what we did. And I think Commissioner Melner saw this. If you have an issue and you want to know the information, you can have that person, that entity come, and you can ask the questions back and forth. And I'm hearing that a lot last meeting and tonight from you and Commissioner Peterson. And then you can get deep into things. There it was roads, there it was trucks, and equipment and things like that. But just like the building, you can literally have building ground show up and you can ask all those questions on everything. And you really get a lot of questions answered. So it's a really good thing, but I know I could hear public out there. It's one meeting. But still public comment on agenda items and public comment at the end. There you don't violate any Open Meetings Act. But 2 of them doesn't work unless your second meeting just kind of goes after public comment.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else for general public comment, please? General public comment. One final time for general public
I
comment.
do have somebody on Zoom.
That was my next question. Is there anybody on Zoom for general public comment?
I believe he's going to call because I don't think that we can hear him through our system tonight. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me?
I can. I'm going to hold you up to the microphone here so that people on Zoom can hear you as well.
Perfect.
Hello, Mr.
Hey, guys, thanks. Thank you for taking my call, commissioners. I appreciate it. Patrick Johnson, Gladstone. I know I don't have to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways. The concern I have about you guys hiring a lawyer to let you know what goes on or let you know how to run a meeting and answer some questions you have. I'm curious to know if anybody has signed up for the MAC training that is offered. We already pay for a MAC membership, so I would hope that the commissioners that are worried about rules and procedure would just attend that MAC meeting and hopefully save us $3,000. To the conservation district, I wanted to say thank you so much for turning those parks into something just beautiful. I'm sorry to see you guys go. I think it was a really great relationship, but I do look forward to see what the county can do, and I think it's going to be a good challenge for them. And I'm hoping we've learned from our mistakes and we can move on. In regards to the commission giving up their ratification power to board assignments, we had a committee of the whole meeting where we were given all of our board meeting assignments, where they could be, what there could be. To me, this is a lack of preparation that shows that whoever was interested in the board chair did not write down who they thought should go in such places, nor talk to the people that were interested to put those in the places. That way you guys could have had that ratification done that day. So to not have you guys ratify is really worrisome, because now the commissioner just gave up that power that they had. Also, the commissioners can now say, well, I didn't know I was on that because the board chair never told me, because now the board chair can ratify and approve those appointments. So that's a concern of mine as well. Thank you, guys. I think things are a little smoother, and we're on the right path.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on Zoom for general public comment, or is that enough? Anybody else on Zoom for general? Okay, very good. We will,
Well, there might be someone in the audience.
I gave 3 calls. One last call for general public comment in the audience. Very good. Thank you. Commissioners' concerns. Mr. Peterson.
Nothing, sir.
You have nothing. Mr. Pugh.
I would just like to say our rocky start turned out pretty good to me, because it built a good foundation for me to, for some of my constituents to call me, and I got to talk to some people I've never heard before, and we conversed about some different ideas in the county that I think will be beneficial for me as I make decisions. The other thing is accountability isn't a one-time thing. It's an all-time thing, and I'm going to try to do my best to move forward that way. And then I did attend the Delta County Airport Advisory Board yesterday. And it was very interesting. I met a lot of good people. I think they're well organized to the extent that they enjoy what they're doing. We have a couple issues there that they're right on top of. And they're going to be submitting contract, soliciting airplane companies to come in here, and that'll be done this summer, because everyone knows we're having issues at the airport. And the main issues there, I don't want to get into too much details, is there's 2 pieces of equipment that are basically, if I get this right, manufactured in Finland. And it's a supply issue. And we have some stuff that is being, one piece is being lent to us right now. And we do some collaboration between other airports. But the other one is hit or miss at different times, and it keeps airplanes from coming in here. So I thought it would be important for the commission to know that kind of stuff is happening there. But other than that, they're doing a great job there, and I kept them longer than they wanted.
Commissioner Melner.
No comment.
Commissioner Barron.
Yes, I do want to thank the Soil Conservation District for what they've done. But to this point, getting the notice tonight, but they're willing to stay with us for 120 days or so to get this transition. I've had concerns the whole past year when we were dealing with these things. It was mentioned during the presentation. I equated to looking at what we went through in the last year was looking a gift horse in the mouth and seeing some gold crowns and then calling them cavities. We took something that was that the Soil Conservation took something, as Commissioner Moyle said, that was a sow's ear, and turned it into a silk purse. They've got that bar pretty high, very high actually, for our parks, and I think it's going to behoove us to use that as our place to set and move forward, and that we would have the parks in an even better situation down the road here, but it's because of the foundation that they helped to lay. And I thank them very much for that.
Clerk Prisraki?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, couple of things. What I would suggest for future chairman. Yes, I wanted to be chairman, but I wasn't going to approach that meeting assuming that I was going to be chairman. I had about half a list created. And my problem is I wanted to please everybody. So what I did is when I adjourned the meeting, said, come on by and we'll check it out. I invited the public. We kept it going on Zoom. And I committed an unintentional mistake of the Open Meetings Act. That's my fault. The buck stops here. It wasn't the board's fault. John wanted his, Bob wanted his, and I should have just said, I'm mailing you the stuff, but I didn't. And so it was an unintentional violation. I accept responsibility for that. I take umbrage with a chairman gets appointed that day. And unless you know exactly what boards and what committees there are, there's a lot of information flying at people. And so I won't apologize for making mistakes, but I'll give you this. I won't make the same one twice. I can guarantee you that. I take some concern. We didn't get off to a rocky new year. Okay. You have somebody new in the job. And so there's a learning curve. I've been on this commission for a while. I know how to be a commissioner. I've never been a chairman, but I have every intention with everybody. We may disagree from time to time, but we are moving the county in the right direction and there is accountability there. So this meeting is going a little bit smoother. Look for the next one to go a little bit smoother. And with that, our meeting schedule, we have the first Tuesday of February and the third Tuesday of February. First Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Third Tuesday is at 5:15. I don't have those dates on the agenda. Can anybody help me with that?
February 7th.
February 7th is at 5 o'clock, and then we would go the 21st would be at 5:15 here at the Service Center and on Zoom. We have notice 30-day appointments for data. Is there anything else? So we need, if you're interested in serving on a board or commission, please to the second story of the court building and apply admin administration. With that, I have no more appointments. We could adjourn without problem this time.
So moved.
Support. All in favor, leave.
All right.
Thank you.